Hi, my name is Miko FC. That's not my real name. That's just my YT name anyway. Today we will be talking about this person named Hatsumi. From what I've heard and seen, Hatsumi used to be a popular YouTuber before the situation. If you do not know what happened, I will basically be summarizing it. Before I get started, there will be some topics that might be triggering for some viewers, such as child grooming, pedophilia, suicide act. If any of that affects you in any way, shape, or form, I advise you click off while you can. Anyway, let's get to the video. Hatsumi used to be a very liked and popular YouTuber that has over 8k subscribers. As you can tell, people are LLY liked her. One of her many fans that seemed to like her, one of her fans, the victim in this situation, got to meet her one day. The victim was 12 and really liked Hatsumi. They talked for a while and then added each other on Messenger and became friends. After a certain amount of time, the victim started to have feelings for Hatsumi. The victim was young and didn't realize how bad of an age gap that is. After they became more comfortable, they started dating. Regardless of the age gap, they did role plays because it's something they both enjoy. Over time, the role plays became sexual without the victim noticing, and it made her very uncomfortable. But she didn't say anything about it because she wanted to keep Hatsumi happy. Hatsumi would regularly make sexual comments about the victim, not caring about her age. The victim would try to tell her about how uncomfortable she was because of her past online experiences that Hatsumi knew about. Hatsumi would ignore all her efforts. The victim would feel pressured to act in sexual ways to please Hatsumi even if she didn't want to. Further down, Hatsumi would send inappropriate sexual videos, voice recordings, and images to the victim if she was intoxicated. Hatsumi was 17 and the victim was around 13 to 14 at the time. Hatsumi would even go as far to try to get the victim to send some back, and sometimes she did. Around January 2021, the victim would have to work so hard all the time because Hatsumi was constantly telling her she was going to commit suicide. This happened daily. Eventually, the victim finally spoke up and said they had to break up only because Hatsumi was about to turn 18 and it was about to be illegal. Hatsumi would repeatedly say, if nobody knows, it's fine, or it's okay if we don't tell anyone. It took the victim months to convince Hatsumi to break up. Only by telling her that when the victim turned 18, they would get back together after their breakup. Hatsumi would still act as if they were dating, making the victim severely uncomfortable. When the victim would try to talk about it to Hatsumi, Hatsumi would always guilt-trip the victim. Not long after their breakup, the victim asked Hatsumi to delete the inappropriate voice messages from the victim, since Hatsumi was a legal adult and the voice recordings were from when the victim was younger. Hatsumi tried to convince the victim to let her keep it, guilt-tripping yet again. Though Hatsumi did end up deleting it, the victim started to doubt her trust in Hatsumi. Hatsumi would continue to act as if she was dating the victim, kissing them in role plays, calling them pet names, and more. The victim then finally made it clear that since they was not in a relationship with Hatsumi, she did not want any intimacy with her at all. Hatsumi acted aggressively, especially when the victim voiced how they was uncomfortable about how Hatsumi was treating them. It took a while, but the victim had convinced Hatsumi to stop. They agreed to remain friends because the victim was scared Hatsumi would end her life. Even though the sexual behavior stopped, Hatsumi was still very manipulative. She would threaten the victim with suicide if she did something wrong. I will go more in depth with her actions later on in the video. Hatsumi would get very upset if the victim would talk to anyone else. If the victim would make any mistake, Hatsumi would lash out on her, threatening to kill herself, making the victim feel it was her fault. The arguments would happen more when the victim started to speak up for herself instead of apologizing. These arguments went on until August 2022. The victim decided to cut Hatsumi off. After I think 3 years of them being together. Hatsumi sent one last message to try and make the victim feel bad. Hatsumi then deleted her Messenger account. since my channel is targeted for a young audience. Since I myself am a young audience, I will go in the more sexual part of their relationship in another video. The same for the triggering things like suicide and other things. Again, if you want a real deep dive into this, I recommend you watch Setsune Silver's video. The link is in the description. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.